And the Chiefs respond with the big hits of their own.
Now,
Good Chiefs support at the stadium today.
let's go! News, views, and behind-the-scenes chats from Sandy Park. This is the Exeter Chiefs podcast with Rhino and Bentos.
You found us again. You're back on with another Exeter Chiefs podcast. I'm Rhino, he's Chubby, and we've scared away the superstars, mate.
I know. What is it? It's something about our aura.
We got rid of Bentos,
Or
and we're trying to get him back, and now we've lost Alec and Harry. What happened was, the boys they're superstars. We know they are, and they had diary commitments, didn't they?
Diary commitments.
It
sounded like that anyway.
Yeah, well, they said they'd be back later in the week to review the Bristol game. But me and Chubby are going to have a look at the game. But don't worry, it's not just us. We are going to be hearing from Rob Baxter. We got a little chat with Lachie Turner after the game on Saturday. And also a bag to chat with the new boy, Dave Dennis.
Deno,
mate. Right, okay, so feature to start the podcast today, our man Chubby, because you get all the gossip. You're in the dugout with those posh seats.
Yes.
Did you get a seat on Saturday?
Oh gosh, no, I've got to stand.
Yeah,
and quite right so.
You get all the goss. So what we thought we'd do is kick off a podcast with Chubby's review of the game in 30 seconds. But we got a little bit of music.
Oh, fantastic.
We are against the clock. It's official in Richard Whiteley's style. Are you ready? Are you steady?
This is reliving student dreams.
Let's go.
Okay, so Luke Cowan-Dickie bullocking, charging, manhandling the opposition. Then to the grace, the elegance, the finesse of Ollie Woodburn.
Beautiful
sidestepping, and basically a back-of-the-hand feed that Nick Easter would have been proud of in his pomp, feeding Lachie Turner with pace to burn.
10
and
seconds.
Then the return of the Axis of Enterprise, Steno and Slade bossing it.
Oh, beautiful. In 30 seconds, well, actually 27,
No, I need to
a
work on
review
that.
of the game from Saturday. Before we start chatting about the game, let's hear from the boss. Here's Rob Baxter post-match on Saturday.
I won't say we've hung on in there because we've done more than hung on in there, but we've come away with a very valuable 5 points.
The tries either side of half-time, how crucial were they? Because they give you that bit of breathing space.
I mean, they were what it was all about, weren't they? The 2 tries half-time, they would broke the game open and probably put it into our hands. And as I said, I was pleased with a lot. I was pleased with our character really, because it is easy to kind of get distracted and in a negative way. And like I say, we weren't at our absolute best today. We'll need to be better in the breakdown in the season coming. We'll need to have a little bit better discipline because the penalty count ended up being quite high against us. But apart from that, again, we showed some good attacking intent, and we've come through a tough game and got our 5 points.
I always love the way he speaks, Chubby.
He's so calm.
So calm.
Really is.
So well trained for the media. And yeah, the performance was good, but he's still not happy.
No, and that's part of his shtick, isn't it? He's always going to be expecting more for these boys, and quite rightly, even though I don't know about you, but this week I am absolutely walking on air. It was a Saturday game, which means you've got the whole rest of the weekend to enjoy it.
We've got 2 Fridays now, haven't we?
Friday's still good though. That's
TV
nice and
a curry
early.
though.
Absolutely. No, it's the Sunday games are just a bit of a drought.
We've got a few of them coming up.
Exactly, but Saturday game, spend the rest of the weekend feeling absolutely pumped because that first half was really clicking. Classic Chiefs.
And we could get really excited about that, and it was the Chiefs we were seeing towards the end of the season, especially like when we met Wasps at the end of the season. However, I had a little, just a little flash back a couple of years at kind of like 60 minutes when I was taking my notes down, and it was like, oh no, we're slowing.
Yeah, just took the pressure, the impotence of the game kind of was allowed to get wrestled from us. And, I mean, take nothing away from Quins. They wanted to win. They really did. They almost felt like they were caught napping in the first 20 as we have in the first 2 games. And so, yeah, the urgency that was in Danny Kerr once he touched that down, passed the ball back to Tim Sewell, who instantly took the kick, and they were back ready and waiting to get the ball. In fact, they were so impatient for the restarts. Our ball boys, who are supremely versed in the whole of the Premiership, weren't quick enough for the team manager, and he ended up taking one of the balls on himself.
Well, let's talk about the team manager in a second, but firstly I want to hear quickly from Lachie Turner, who had an outstanding game.
It was hard coming in. I mean, the team was doing so well, had so much success, I kind of felt like a freeloader. This year I really feel a part of the group. I've slogged away during pre-season with them all, and I'm finding my feet in the team and understanding how they want to play a little bit more and where my skills and assets kind of fit into that. So today I was lucky enough to be on the end of some really good work by the rest of the guys.
Sounded nice and modest there. Rob was complimentary. We haven't got the clip to play you now, but he was complimentary in the post-match interviews of Lachie. What are you feeling, James? Do you think we've started to see this superstar flourish here at the Chiefs?
I think so, and for all of Phil Dolman's misfortune, it gives Lachie a few games to really show what he's about, and I think all of us Chiefs fans, when we heard he was on his way, got busily looking up video archive of him on YouTube, and he has got pace to burn. He has got a supreme reading of the game, and certainly in the first few games that he's started, it's not quite come together, but in that first half, we saw what he's about, and when he can get on the outside, when he's got good feed, and when those all-important defenders have been actually held into the tackle before the pass is made, he was around the outside like a greyhound. It was amazing.
We saw him at Gloucester last year, and he really wasn't at what he was at the weekend. He's clearly starting to bed in, and Rob was saying actually in the interview after the game, what you have to remember is this guy had come from not having played a lot of rugby. He was was it World Cup cover at Toulon for a little while, so he'd come over to us. And he hadn't been playing a lot of rugby, but now he's getting into the Chiefs' way, and he's getting used to what we're doing.
And he's a hard-working chap as well. He's taken some hellish knocks in the last few games, and he just keeps on bouncing back up. So he's got a good engine on him as well.
And that try was outstanding, wasn't it? With the switch from Ollie Woodburn. Yeah. Tell me what the atmosphere was like in the dugout during that.
Oh, absolute elation. I mean, I've moved around into the tunnel sort of entrance so I can keep half an eye on the visiting team, make sure I try and fit in all of their replacements that are being made, and sort of pick up half an ear of what the guys are saying. It was just, everyone was cheering. I couldn't hear anything because of the noise I was making. It was one of those classic backs moves where Waldrum took it off the base of the scrum quickly. Will Chudley had a fabulous game again and really injected pace on the ball every time he was there. And it just went bash, bash, bash along the back every time, tying in at least one defender as it went out, and the overlap was made because of that beautiful, massive sidestep, almost Sonotti style from Woodburn. Takes his tackle, offloads out the back of the hand, and Lachie Turner's there to just scoop it up and run all the way in behind as well to dab down behind the post.
And what's so exciting about the Chiefs is the competition for those positions now. I mean, Phil Dolman obviously injured, that's unfortunate, but we've got Lachie coming at number 15 there. But then you've got the wing looking at, you've got Nowe to come back. Saw him this morning at the gym on the bike. He's working hard. It looks like he's getting better, but I don't know anything more than that, so don't read into it. But there's going to be a real fight for these positions, and we've got superstars fighting for them. And what was I going to say? Tank. He's obviously not scoring as many tries, and there was a gag from Rob in the post-match interview which has been picked up by the press and flipped a little bit, I think, because the basically what happened was he was questioned around Cowan Dickey, who we need to talk about, who had an outstanding game, but obviously with that slight rule change, Cowan Dickey's going in last, so he's getting the ball. And Tank's not. So Rob dropped the gag. He said, well, I'm sure we'll be having chat with Tank soon about becoming a hooker.
Stranger things have happened. Look at Ashley Johnson.
Because he loves to get on the ball and get over the line. And it was a joke, but it got picked up on the weekend. It just made me laugh.
I think in any other club that actually might have been on the cards, but look at where he'd be behind. Luke Cowan-Dickey, Jack Yendall. I mean, Sean Moulton playing for the Braves last night had a super game.
I'm fortunate to see them lose, actually, against Sarries.
Yeah, I heard from Kai, and he was disappointed there were a few sloppy mistakes. But then, crikey, A-League rugby, those guys don't get to play in with each other week in, week out. So you expect that. But
there's still some big names in that squad. Rimmer, and Johnson.
And Jesse on the wing. It's good that competitive action is there, because the knocks, the bumps, the bruises are going to come throughout the Premiership. It is a relentless season again. I mean, the only off weeks are if we don't get it through to quarterfinals, semi-finals, and I think the squad fully intend to.
Let's dig you on the team manager from Quins in a second, and also talk Cowan Dickey. But now let's hear from the new boy, Dave Dennis.
I think it's everything that everyone sort of told me about. It's really, really physical, tough. We've had 3 really big clubs to start, so it hasn't been an easy introduction, but really enjoyed it. like I said, nice to get that first win as well.
During that interview, Chubby, he had such a massive smile on his face. He was completely overwhelmed, happy to be in the team. And you think, he's got 10 plus caps for Australia.
Yeah,
fantastic player,
absolutely, and versatile. Plays all across the back of the scrum. Obviously, big physical character, and again, he's got the Chiefs mentality. Otherwise, he wouldn't be there.
That's why I wanted to ask him about the difference between Prem and Super Rugby, because Premier League, it's on now. It's thick and fast, as Mark Stevens, our head of communications, always says to the guys. It's happening and it's going to be going now until what, May time.
Yes, yeah. Well, hopefully May 27th.
Yes. I was
my
going to say May,
birthday,
June.
and the Premiership final. So, what better birthday present?
So where I was sat in the stadium on the weekend, I was basically a row away from Nick Easter, getting slightly excited in a rugby fan sort of a way. But you had a clearer view of the guy, their team manager down at the pitch. He wasn't happy, was he? Didn't he push a cameraman out of the way at one point?
I think he did. I think he's one of those guys who wears his heart on his sleeve. But, really nice chap. And certainly he was very sympathetic when Franny got shown the red.
He looked like he was ready to do one of those dramatic movie scenes and kick a water bottle over, didn't he, as he came off? But he was controlled and professional as a chief is, always is.
And I think what that decision has shown is that is going to be the line in the sand now. If you do put your foot in, and it makes contact with any...
Well, a slight shin contact with Danny Care's head, wasn't there?
And there was no malice behind it. The result wasn't particularly horrifying. Danny had enough about him to say, what's going on?
Well, Rob's take on it was, you've been warned, boys.
Yeah.
We were all told,
exactly.
So you can't do it. There's been a change in the rules. That's it. We've got to deal with it.
And crikey, we cannot begin to imagine the frenetic atmosphere in those rucks because we've never done that. But watching the slow-mo replay back, Thomas Francis has got the Harlequins tackler on his back and shoulders. He's lifting up. He can see the ball in front of him, absolutely instinctively puts his foot towards it. And then you notice the tackler leg come in and knock Thomas Francis's knee down and inwards. And that's what means that his shin ends up making contact with the back of Danny Care's head. Terribly unfortunate incident. If he'd had...
You've clearly watched it back. I've had a broken skybox.
Exactly.
So I
know. I've watched it in detail because I don't think anyone in the Chiefs squad is at all a shifty, nasty character. They just wouldn't be.
They wouldn't last.
Exactly.
But Rob did mention in the interview after, though, about needing to work on the discipline a little bit and a bit more control in the breakdown. What's your view on that?
Yeah, absolutely. But in these elite sort of circles, discipline is more like that presence of mind that even when you're about to throw your lungs out through your throat, you can still have that presence of mind to do exactly the right thing at the right time.
I prowled around the stadium afterwards, talking to a few fans. We always like to give the last word on this podcast to the terraces, so we'll hear from those guys in just a second. But Cowan Dickey, how was he feeling when he came off? Because he almost got a standing ovation, didn't he?
Well, absolutely. And he had a sensational game. He really did.
He's a boy who looks like Jack Nolte. He's growing up. He's maturing in his game.
And the wonderful thing is he did it in front of Neil Hatley, England forwards coach. So that was a timely performance. But regardless of that, that's kind of a sideline issue. The focus is he is firing on all cylinders and he is really tying down that number 2 jersey. And he had a great game. I think, tries are the sort of icing on the cake, but the actual Victoria sponge under there was solid and uncompromising.
And I think Gag of the Week or Poo-Poo of the Week goes to you, doesn't it? At the Chiefs on Saturday. Who was the game sponsored by, James?
Some kind of bank or something. I can't really remember.
The game was sponsored by Bradford's Building Supplies, and James announced it as Bradford's Building Society.
I was so proud of myself. It was the first game in months that I'd managed to fit in every single replacement from both sides. I hadn't talked over any kicker. I hadn't made any significant gaffes. And crikey, you can't do that role unless you're quite happy to look totally foolish.
And I'm not taking the mick because I do it as well when you're not there and for the A-League games, and I totally look foolish.
It was just really unfortunate that the chief executives of Bradford's Building Supplies were stood behind me.
Yeah.
Tony
and John
Rowe
Woods,
was there.
head of corporate, was there. Yeah.
And so I got a ribbing straight after, and then Bentos said, well, clock's still off, Chubby. You could actually make amends. Oh, cheers.
The thing is, though, the way I look at it is they were highlighted even more. So you ended up being a superstar from a commercial side of things. That's my line on it.
Exactly. It was, no publicity's bad publicity.
Cool, and they got a plug on the podcast. Let's wrap it up. We'll be back if Alec and Harry can sort the diaries out. Otherwise, we're going to have to find some other new friends.
Or get them a secretary.
Yeah, we could. These they're superstars. They should have a PA. Let's hear from the fans that we managed to talk to after the game, and we'll be back with another podcast post Bristol.
I think I preferred the first half in order because Chiefs had a lot more ball, and it was a brilliant first half. They controlled the game, but second half was good, and I'm glad we won.
Yeah, I second that emotion. It was a superb game. We've got a 100% record. This is our 8th game watching them, and they've won. So we thought with 2 losses we ought to come along, and they won. So let's give her a season ticket, won't we? I think.
I thought they played pretty well, actually. Pretty strong. The tackles were going in at the start, and they fought it off. Lovely 2 tries. I think they overpowered the game.
Glad the Chiefs won this week, obviously not last week, not from last week's performance, but good performance all round, really. It was awesome.
What about you?
Yeah, I thought it was very good. Right at the start, I thought the Chiefs had it in the bag the first half, and then the second half, they came back a bit on the Harlequins and it took it right to the point. But last 10 minutes, I thought, Chiefs are going to do it. They had it in the bag.
Your behind-the-scenes access to Sandy Park with Rhino and Bentos. The Exeter Chiefs Podcast.